The scent of simmering spices, rich and complex, clung to her like a second skin, a fragrant aura that announced her presence long before she stepped into any room. But it was never the first thing they noticed. Their eyes, swift and unforgiving, always went to the curves, the generous frame, the undeniable truth that she didn't fit the sleek, often superficial image of culinary artistry. Whispers followed her, not of her talent, but of her size, of the unspoken judgment that she was somehow less capable, less refined, less worthy. They saw the apron stretched taut, the comfortable shoes, the gentle smile that masked years of quiet struggle. They saw a cook, perhaps, but never a chef, never an artist. Yet, beneath that unassuming exterior, a fire burned, a passion so profound it could transform simple ingredients into symphonies of flavor, capable of silencing the most cynical critic. They hadn't yet learned that the most exquisite dishes are often born not from a perfect facade, but from a soul poured into every stir, every chop, every delicate seasoning. And soon, the city, and a certain skeptical restaurant owner, would be forced to taste the truth, long before they ever truly saw it. If you're already intrigued by Bee's hidden talent and the challenges she faces, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Your support helps this channel grow and allows us to bring more powerful narratives like this one to life. Thank you. The aroma of caramelized onions and thyme clung to Beatrice Holloway's apron, a comforting, familiar scent that was as much a part of her as her generous curves and her perpetually kind eyes. Bee, as everyone called her, moved with a surprising grace for a woman of her size, her hands deft and practiced as she chopped, stirred, and seasoned. For years, her kitchen had been her sanctuary, a place where ingredients transformed under her touch, where flavors danced, and where the outside world's judgments faded into the background. Bee had been cooking since she was old enough to reach the counter, learning at her grandmother's side. Her grandmother, a formidable woman with a laugh that could fill a room and a culinary wisdom that seemed ancient, had taught Bee that food was more than sustenance. It was love, comfort, and a language spoken from the heart. Bee carried that philosophy with her, pouring her soul into every dish, whether it was a simple weeknight stew for her beloved niece, Chloe, or a complex, multi-course meal for a special occasion. Life, however, had not been a gourmet feast. After the sudden passing of her sister and brother-in-law 5 years ago, Bee had taken on the responsibility of raising Chloe, then just 12. It was a commitment she embraced without hesitation, but it meant putting her own culinary dreams on hold. She'd worked a string of demanding, low-paying jobs, catering gigs, school cafeteria shifts, even a stint as a short-order cook in a greasy spoon diner, anything to keep a roof over their heads and food on the table. Chloe, now 17, was a bright, artistic soul, and Bee was determined to give her the best life possible, even if it meant sacrificing her own aspirations. Their small apartment, though modest, was always filled with the tantalizing sense of Bee's cooking. Chloe, often found sketching in her notebook at the kitchen table, was Bee's most devoted fan. "Aunt Bee, this is amazing," Chloe would exclaim, her eyes wide with delight. Every time Bee presented a new dish, "You should open your own restaurant." Bee would just smile, a wistful look in her eyes. "Maybe someday, sweet pea. For now, this kitchen is enough." But deep down, she yearned for more, for a chance to share her culinary voice with the world. The opportunity, or so it seemed, arrived in the form of an advertisement in the local paper. Head chef wanted, The Gilded Spoon, seeking innovative culinary talent to elevate our fine dining experience. The Gilded Spoon was a prestigious establishment, known for its elegant ambiance and discerning clientele, but lately, its reputation had been slipping. Bee knew it was a long shot, but something compelled her to apply. She spent days perfecting her resume, highlighting her extensive experience, her diverse culinary background, and her passion. She even included a small, heartfelt note about her philosophy of cooking from the heart. The interview was scheduled for a brisk Tuesday morning. Bee dressed in her best, a smart, dark dress that, while professional, still accentuated her full figure. She arrived at the Gilded Spoon, a grand building with polished brass and gleaming windows, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and trepidation. Julian Thorne, the owner, was a man in his late 40s, impeccably dressed, with sharp, assessing eyes and an air of sophisticated detachment. He sat behind a large mahogany desk, his gaze sweeping over Bee as she entered. Bee immediately sensed his judgment, a familiar cold wave washing over her. His eyes lingered on her size for a fraction too long, a subtle, almost imperceptible flicker of skepticism. "Ms. Holloway," Julian began, his voice smooth, but with an underlying coolness. "Thank you for coming. Your resume is extensive, a varied background." "Thank you, Mr. Thorne," Bea replied, her voice steady, her smile gentle. "I've cooked in many different environments, learning something new from each." Julian leaned back, a faint, almost imperceptible smirk playing on his lips. "Indeed, but the Gilded Spoon is a fine dining establishment, Miss Holloway. Our clientele expects a certain aesthetic, a certain level of sophistication, both in the food and in the presentation, including the staff." His gaze, pointedly, swept over her again. Bea felt the familiar sting, the unspoken dismissal. She knew what he was implying. She wasn't pretty enough, not sleek enough, not the image he envisioned for his high-end restaurant. But she refused to let it break her. "Mr. Thorne," Bea said, her voice unwavering, her pride unshaken, "I'm not the kind of woman who turns heads when I walk in. I'm not pretty in the way some might expect for a front-of-house position, or perhaps even a modern head chef, but I cook from the heart. My food speaks for itself. It tells a story, evokes emotion, and leaves a lasting impression. I believe that's the kind of sophistication your clientele truly craves." Julian raised an eyebrow, a flicker of surprise in his eyes at her directness. "A bold claim, Ms. Holloway. Everyone claims to cook from the heart. What makes your heart so special?" "My heart has known struggle, Mr. Thorne," Bea replied, her gaze meeting his, a quiet intensity in her eyes. "It has known joy, loss, and unwavering love, and all of that, every single experience, finds its way into my cooking. It's an unseen ingredient, perhaps, but it's what makes my food authentic, comforting, and memorable." Julian Thorne was silent for a moment, clearly taken aback by her candor. He had expected a deferential applicant, not one who challenged his unspoken biases. "Very well, Ms. Holloway," he finally said, his tone still skeptical. "We have several other candidates to interview. We'll be in touch." Bea knew it was a polite dismissal. She left the Gilded Spoon with a heavy heart, the familiar ache of rejection settling in. She had tried, she had spoken her truth, but it seemed her appearance had once again overshadowed her talent. If you're already feeling Bea's passion and the injustice of her situation, please show your support by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your engagement helps us continue to share these heartfelt narratives. Days turned into a week, and Bea heard nothing from the Gilded Spoon. She resumed her routine, picking up extra catering shifts, trying to push the disappointment aside. Chloe, sensing her aunt's quiet sadness, tried to cheer her up. "Don't worry, Aunt Bea," Chloe said, hugging her tightly. "Their loss. You're the best cook in the world." Then, a surprising call came. It was Leo Maxwell, the kind-faced maitre d' whom Bea had briefly met during her interview. "Ms. Holloway," Leo's voice was warm and friendly. "Mr. Thorne would like to offer you a trial, as a line cook for now. Our current head chef, Antoine Dubois, is particular, but Mr. Thorne was intrigued by your heart philosophy." Bea's heart leaped. A trial. It wasn't the head chef position, but it was a foot in the door, a chance to prove herself. "Yes, absolutely, Mr. Maxwell. Thank you." Leo chuckled. "Please call me Leo, and welcome to the Gilded Spoon, Bea. I have a feeling you're exactly what we need." Bea started the following Monday. The kitchen of the Gilded Spoon was a high-pressure environment, a symphony of clanging pots, sizzling pans, and shouted orders. Chef Antoine Dubois, a tall, slender man with a precise, almost surgical approach to cooking, ruled the kitchen with an iron fist. He was a classically trained chef, meticulous and demanding, and he clearly had little patience for anyone he deemed less than perfect. From the moment Bea stepped into the kitchen, Chef Dubois' disdain was palpable. He barely acknowledged her, assigning her to the most basic prep tasks, chopping vegetables, peeling potatoes, washing mountains of lettuce. He would often make pointed comments, loud enough for others to hear. "Holloway, try to keep up. This isn't a school cafeteria." Or, "Are you sure you can handle the pace, Holloway? This kitchen moves fast." The other line cooks, a mix of young, ambitious chefs and seasoned veterans, mostly kept to themselves, wary of Chef Dubois' temper. Sophia, a quiet, efficient line cook, would occasionally offer Bea a sympathetic glance but rarely spoke. Marco, a friendly prep cook and dishwasher, was the only one who offered genuine camaraderie. "Don't mind Chef B," Marco whispered one afternoon, as B struggled to keep up with a particularly demanding order. "He's like that with everyone, but you're doing great." B pushed through the grueling shifts, the long hours, and Chef Dubois' constant criticism. She worked harder than anyone, arriving early, staying late, always asking questions, always eager to learn. She absorbed every detail, every technique, every nuance of the Gilded Spoon's menu, and whenever she had a moment, she would subtly infuse her own touch into the dishes she was allowed to prepare, a pinch of a secret spice, a slightly different cooking method, a dash of her heart. One evening, during a particularly chaotic dinner service, the kitchen was slammed. A large party had just arrived, and orders were piling up. Chef Dubois was barking orders, his face flushed with stress. Suddenly, the main oven, crucial for several signature dishes, malfunctioned. Smoke billowed out, and a frantic panic erupted. "The oven! It's dead!" Chef Dubois roared, throwing his hands up in despair. "We're ruined! How are we going to get these orders out?" The other cooks froze, looking at each other in dismay. Julian Thorne, alerted by the commotion, rushed into the kitchen, his face pale. "What's going on, Antoine? We have a full house." B, however, remained calm. Her mind, accustomed to problem-solving under pressure, quickly assessed the situation. She remembered a small, rarely used convection oven in the back, usually reserved for staff meals. It wasn't ideal, but it was functional. "Chef!" B called out, her voice clear and steady amidst the chaos. "The convection oven in the back. It's smaller, but we can use it for the roasted vegetables and some of the smaller protein dishes. We'll have to adjust cooking times, but it's an option." Chef Dubois stared at her, momentarily speechless. Julian Thorne, however, seized on the idea. "Antoine, is that feasible?" Dubois, still flustered, grumbled. "It's not ideal, but it's something." "Bae, can you manage it?" Julian asked, his eyes meeting hers, a flicker of hope in his gaze. "Yes, Mr. Thorne," B replied, already moving towards the back oven. "I can. Marco, help me clear this space. Sophia, we need to adjust the plating for the smaller portions." Under B's calm direction, the kitchen slowly regained control. She expertly managed the convection oven, adjusting temperatures and times, ensuring that the dishes came out perfectly cooked, despite the setback. Her presence was a steadying force, her quiet competence a beacon in the storm. By the end of the night, against all odds, every order had been fulfilled, albeit with a slight delay. The customers, unaware of the kitchen drama, left satisfied. Julian Thorne, exhausted but relieved, approached B as she was cleaning her station. "Ms. Holloway," he said, his voice softer than usual, "you saved us tonight. Your quick thinking. It was remarkable." B simply smiled, a tired but genuine smile. "Just doing my job, Mr. Thorne. My grandmother always said, 'A good cook always finds a way.'" Julian looked at her, a new respect dawning in his eyes. He saw not just a line cook, but a woman of resourcefulness and calm under pressure. He saw, perhaps for the first time, beyond her size, to the quiet strength within. The next morning, Chef Dubois, still smarting from the previous night's near disaster, was unusually subdued. He still barked orders, but his criticisms of B were less frequent, less pointed. He had witnessed her competence firsthand, and even his rigid prejudice couldn't entirely dismiss it. Leo Maxwell, the maitre d', sought B out during her break. "You were amazing last night, B," he said, his eyes full of admiration. Julian was really impressed, and so was I. "You've got a real talent for leadership, not just cooking." B felt a quiet sense of triumph. She was slowly, steadily, proving her worth, one dish, one crisis, at a time. The Gilded Spoon was a challenging environment, but it was also a stage, a place where her unseen ingredient, her heart, was finally beginning to be tasted. She knew the road ahead was still long, filled with obstacles and lingering prejudices, but for the first time in a long time, B felt a flicker of hope that her culinary dreams might not be so far out of reach after all. She was ready to keep cooking, to keep proving, and to keep pouring her heart into every single dish until everyone tasted the truth. If B's resilience and quiet strength are inspiring you, please show your support by giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Every like and subscription helps us continue telling these powerful, human stories. The near disaster with the oven had been a turning point, a crack in the rigid facade of the Gilded Spoon's kitchen. Chef Antoine Dubois, though still prone to his usual temperamental outbursts, now regarded Bee with a grudging, almost imperceptible respect. He still assigned her to prep work, but the tasks were often more complex, requiring a finer touch, a deeper understanding of ingredients. He would watch her sometimes from across the bustling kitchen, his sharp eyes observing her meticulous knife work, her intuitive seasoning, the way she handled delicate produce with a reverence he rarely saw in his younger, more ambitious cooks. Julian Thorne, the owner, had also begun to observe Bee more closely. He would often linger near the kitchen pass, watching the dishes as they left, sometimes even stepping into the kitchen to observe Bee at her station. He noticed the quiet efficiency, the calm demeanor even amidst chaos, and the subtle, yet distinct quality that seemed to elevate the dishes Bee touched. The initial skepticism in his eyes had slowly begun to give way to a flicker of curiosity, then a dawning recognition of genuine talent. Bee, for her part, continued to pour her heart into every task. She saw every vegetable she chopped, every sauce she stirred, as an opportunity to connect, to create. She learned the rhythm of the kitchen, the unspoken language of a busy service, and found her place within its demanding choreography. Marco, the prep cook, became her loyal assistant, always ready to lend a hand, always quick with a joke. Sophia, the quiet line cook, started to open up, sharing tips and even a few smiles. The camaraderie, once absent, slowly began to bloom around Bee's station. One particularly slow Tuesday afternoon, Chef Dubois was experimenting with a new seasonal soup, a delicate butternut squash bisque. He was visibly frustrated, unable to achieve the depth of flavor he desired. He had tried several iterations, each falling short of his exacting standards. "It's bland, it's insipid," he muttered, throwing his spoon down in exasperation. "It lacks soul." Bee, who had been quietly observing from her prep station, hesitated. She knew what was missing, a subtle balance of spices, a hint of something unexpected. Taking a deep breath, she approached the chef. "Chef," she began tentatively, "if I may, perhaps a touch of smoked paprika and a whisper of fresh ginger, and maybe a slow roast on the squash before pureeing to deepen the sweetness." Chef Dubois turned, his eyes narrowing. "Holloway, are you presuming to instruct me on my own recipe?" "No, chef," Bee replied, her voice calm, "only offering a suggestion. My grandmother always said, sometimes the simplest additions unlock the greatest flavors." Julian Thorne, who had just walked into the kitchen, paused, listening intently. Dubois glared at Bee for a long moment. Then, to everyone's surprise, he grunted, "Fine, do it. But if you ruin my bisque, Holloway, you'll be peeling potatoes for a month." Bee nodded, a small, confident smile playing on her lips. She took a small portion of the bisque, added a pinch of smoked paprika, a finely grated sliver of fresh ginger, and then, with a practiced hand, adjusted the seasoning. She then quickly roasted a small batch of squash until it was deeply caramelized, adding it to the bisque. She stirred, tasted, and then offered a spoonful to Chef Dubois. He took it, his expression skeptical. He tasted, his eyes widening slightly. He tasted again, a thoughtful frown on his face. The kitchen held its breath. "Mon Dieu," he whispered, a rare note of genuine surprise in his voice. "It's transformed. The depth, the warmth. It has that soul I was searching for." He looked at Bee, a flicker of something akin to awe in his eyes. "How did you—" "From the heart, chef," Bee replied, her smile gentle. Julian Thorne, who had witnessed the entire exchange, stepped forward. "Chef Dubois, Ms. Holloway, that's exactly what the Gilded Spoon needs. That kind of innovation, that kind of flavor." He looked at Bee, a genuine smile now gracing his lips. "Bee, from now on, I want you to contribute to the daily specials. Work with Chef Dubois. Let's see what else your heart can create." Chef Dubois, though still visibly surprised, simply nodded, a new, almost respectful glint in his eye. "Oui, Mr. Thorne. It seems Ms. Holloway has a certain touch. If you're loving Bee's quiet triumph and the way her talent is finally being recognized, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us share more stories of passion and perseverance. B's new role brought both excitement and new challenges. She now worked directly with Chef Dubois on developing new dishes, contributing her unique perspective and flavor profiles. While Dubois still adhered to classical techniques, he began to appreciate B's intuitive understanding of flavor, her ability to elevate simple ingredients into something extraordinary. Their collaboration, initially tense, slowly evolved into a dynamic partnership, a blend of classical precision and heartfelt innovation. Her schedule, however, became even more demanding. Long hours in the kitchen meant less time at home with Chloe. B felt a pang of guilt, but Chloe, ever supportive, understood. "Aunt B, this is your dream," Chloe would say, hugging her tightly. "Go for it. I can handle myself. Besides, I love hearing about all the fancy dishes you're making." Chloe's artistic talents were also blossoming. She was applying to art schools, spending hours sketching and painting, often inspired by the vibrant colors and textures of B's ingredients. B made sure to set aside dedicated time for them, even if it was just an hour of quiet conversation over a late-night snack, or a weekend trip to a local farmer's market where Chloe would sketch the produce and B would gather inspiration. Leo Maxwell, the maitre d', continued to be a strong ally. He would often relay positive customer feedback directly to B, boosting her confidence. "Customers are asking about the new specials, B," he'd say, a twinkle in his eye. "They say there's a certain warmth, a certain something they haven't tasted here before." The certain something was B's signature. Her dishes, whether a robust braised short rib with root vegetables or a delicate pan-seared salmon with a lemon dill sauce, carried a depth of flavor and a comforting authenticity that resonated deeply with the diners. Word began to spread. The Gilded Spoon, which had been struggling, started to see a noticeable increase in reservations. Customers were returning, specifically asking for the new specials or praising the heartfelt cooking. Julian Thorne, a shrewd businessman, noticed the positive change in the restaurant's bottom line. He saw the glowing reviews, the increased foot traffic, the renewed buzz around his establishment. He began to introduce B to influential guests, proudly proclaiming her as the culinary talent behind our new direction. He even started to make subtle changes to the restaurant's decor, making it feel a little warmer, a little more inviting, reflecting the new spirit B had brought to the kitchen. One evening, a particularly influential food blogger, known for her brutally honest reviews, dined at the Gilded Spoon. Her review, published the next day, was a game-changer. She raved about the unexpected warmth and soul of the food, praising a specific dish, B's slow-cooked lamb shank with rosemary and garlic, as a revelation, a dish that spoke directly to the heart, proving that true culinary artistry transcends mere presentation. She concluded by stating that the Gilded Spoon had found its culinary soul, and urged her readers to experience it. The review sent a ripple of excitement through the restaurant. Julian Thorne was ecstatic. Chef Dubois, though he would never admit it openly, looked genuinely pleased. And B, reading the review in the quiet of her apartment, felt a profound sense of validation. Her heart, indeed, had been tasted. However, not all challenges were internal. The Gilded Spoon was located in a vibrant but rapidly gentrifying neighborhood. A large corporate restaurant chain, Gourmet Global, had recently opened a sleek modern establishment just a few blocks away, aggressively trying to corner the market with flashy marketing and celebrity chefs. Their presence posed a significant threat to independent restaurants like the Gilded Spoon. Julian Thorne, despite the recent success, felt the pressure. "They're trying to push us out, B," he confessed one afternoon, looking worried. "Their marketing budget is endless. We can't compete on flash." "No, Mr. Thorne," B replied, her voice firm. "But we can compete on substance, on authenticity, on heart. That's something they can't replicate." Julian nodded, a thoughtful expression on his face. "You're right. We need to lean into what makes us unique. And that, B, is you." He proposed a bold idea, a special, limited-time tasting menu, entirely designed by B, showcasing her unique culinary philosophy. It would be an event, a statement, a direct challenge to the corporate giants. "It's a risk, B," Julian admitted. "But I believe in your vision. I believe in your food." B's heart pounded with a mix of excitement and apprehension. This was her chance, her moment to truly shine, to put her entire culinary soul on display. She spent weeks meticulously planning the menu, drawing inspiration from her grandmother's recipes, from her own life experiences, from the vibrant flavors of her community. She envisioned dishes that were comforting yet refined, familiar yet surprising, each telling a story. Chef Dubois, surprisingly, offered his full support. He worked alongside Bee, helping her refine techniques, offering his classical expertise to elevate her rustic charm. Sophia and Marco were enthusiastic, eager to be part of this special event. The entire kitchen rallied around Bee, a testament to the respect she had earned. The tasting menu event was announced with a modest but heartfelt marketing campaign, focusing on the soulful cuisine of Beatrice Holloway. Reservations poured in, fueled by the food blogger's review and the growing buzz around Bee's talent. The night of the tasting menu arrived, a flurry of anticipation and nervous energy. The Gilded Spoon was packed, the atmosphere electric. Bee, dressed in a pristine chef's coat, stood at the pass, her heart pounding, but her hands steady. She oversaw every dish, every plating, ensuring that each one was a perfect reflection of her vision. One of the guests that evening was Ms. Evelyn Reed, the city's most influential and notoriously hard-to-please food critic. She was a woman of impeccable taste and an intimidating reputation, known for making or breaking restaurants with a single review. Julian Thorne, spotting her, felt a knot of anxiety tighten in his stomach. This was it. This was the ultimate test. As Ms. Reed sampled each course, her expression remained unreadable. Bee watched her from the kitchen, her stomach churning. She had poured everything into this menu, every memory, every emotion, every ounce of her culinary soul. The final course, a delicate apple tart with a hint of cardamom and a homemade vanilla bean ice cream, was served. Ms. Reed took a bite, her eyes closing for a moment. When she opened them, a faint, almost imperceptible smile touched her lips. Later that evening, after the last guest had departed, Julian Thorne approached Bee, his face beaming. "Bee," he said, his voice filled with genuine emotion. It was a triumph, a complete triumph. Every single guest was raving. And Ms. Reed, she left a note. He handed Bee a small, elegant card. Bee's hands trembled slightly as she opened it. The note was short, but powerful. "Dear Ms. Holloway, tonight, I tasted not just food, but a story of passion, resilience, and profound heart. Your cuisine is a rare gift. You have not only elevated the Gilded Spoon, but you have reminded us all that the most beautiful art comes from the soul. Thank you for a truly unforgettable experience. Sincerely, Evelyn Reed." Bee felt tears welling in her eyes. She had done it. She had proven her worth, not by conforming to superficial expectations, but by embracing her true self, by cooking from the deepest part of her heart. The Gilded Spoon had found its soul, and Bee Holloway, the full-figured cook who wasn't pretty in the conventional sense, had finally found her place at the very heart of it. The journey was far from over, but the taste of truth was undeniable, and it was delicious. If Bee's journey to culinary recognition and her unwavering passion are inspiring you, please show your support by giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Every like and subscription helps us continue telling these powerful, human stories. The morning after the tasting menu event, the Gilded Spoon was abuzz with an energy it hadn't felt in years. Evelyn Reed's note, framed and prominently displayed near the kitchen pass, served as a powerful testament to Bee's triumph. The phone rang incessantly with reservation requests, and the restaurant's online presence exploded with glowing reviews, all echoing the critics' sentiment about soulful cuisine and cooking from the heart. Julian Thorne, usually reserved, walked with a spring in his step, his face alight with a mixture of relief and exhilaration. "Bee," Julian said, finding her in the kitchen, already prepping for the lunch service, a serene focus on her face. "What you did last night, it's beyond anything I could have imagined. The Gilded Spoon is back, and it's all thanks to you." His voice was genuinely warm, devoid of any past skepticism. Chef Antoine Dubois, surprisingly, approached her with a rare, almost shy smile. "Holloway," he said, a hint of respect in his tone. "Your lamb shank. It was truly exceptional. Even I learned something." It was the highest praise Bee could have hoped for from the classically trained chef. The atmosphere in the kitchen had transformed. The other cooks, including Sophia and Marco, now looked at Bee with open admiration. She was no longer just a line cook. She was the culinary force that had revitalized their restaurant. Sophia, who had been quiet and reserved, now sought Bee's advice, eager to learn her techniques. Marco, Ever the cheerful one, proudly declared himself B's sous chef in spirit. Julian Thorne, recognizing the profound shift, called a staff meeting that afternoon. He stood before his team, a new sense of purpose in his eyes. "The Gilded Spoon has entered a new era," he announced, his gaze settling on B. "And it's an era defined by authenticity, passion, and extraordinary talent." Effective immediately, Beatrice Holloway is promoted to executive chef of the Gilded Spoon. A ripple of applause, genuine and enthusiastic, swept through the room. B felt a rush of emotion, joy, gratitude, and a profound sense of accomplishment. Executive chef, it was a title she had only dared to dream of. Chef Dubois, though no longer the sole head chef, offered a respectful nod. "Congratulations, Chef Holloway," he said, a genuine smile on his face. "I look forward to our continued collaboration." He would now serve as the head chef, working directly under B, focusing on the classical elements while B steered the overall culinary direction. It was a partnership built on mutual respect, a blend of tradition and innovation. If you're celebrating B's well-deserved promotion and the recognition of her incredible talent, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us share more stories of passion and success. B's new role came with immense responsibilities. She was now in charge of menu development, kitchen management, staff training, and maintaining the high standards that had brought the Gilded Spoon back into the spotlight. Her days became even longer, her schedule more demanding, but she embraced every challenge with unwavering dedication. She implemented new training programs, emphasizing not just technical skill, but also the heart philosophy, encouraging her team to connect with their ingredients, to understand the story behind each dish. Her influence extended beyond the kitchen. Julian Thorne, now fully invested in B's vision, began to consult her on all aspects of the restaurant, from decor changes to marketing strategies. He even started sourcing ingredients from local farmers' markets, a practice B had long advocated, bringing a fresh, seasonal authenticity to their menu. At home, Chloe was B's biggest cheerleader. "Executive Chef B. Holloway," Chloe would exclaim, beaming. "I knew you'd do it, Aunt B. You deserve it." Chloe's own artistic journey was also progressing beautifully. She had been accepted into her dream art school with a partial scholarship, a testament to her talent and B's unwavering support. However, the increased demands of B's new position meant less time for Chloe. Late nights at the restaurant, early mornings at the market, and constant menu development left B exhausted. She tried her best to balance it all, but sometimes she felt the strain. Chloe, understanding B's passion, never complained, but B noticed the quiet moments, the longing glances, the subtle shift in their routine. "Are you okay, Sweet Pea?" B asked Chloe one evening, finding her sketching quietly in her room. "Yeah, Aunt B," Chloe replied, but her voice was a little subdued. "Just miss our movie nights, you know?" B's heart ached. "I know, honey. I promise things will settle down soon, and we'll have all the movie nights you want." She hugged Chloe tightly, vowing to find a better balance. Meanwhile, the competition from Gourmet Global intensified. Their sleek modern restaurant, The Apex, launched an aggressive advertising campaign, featuring celebrity chefs and flashy avant-garde dishes. They offered steep discounts and tried to poach the Gilded Spoon staff. Julian Thorne was worried. "They're trying to drown us out, B," Julian said, showing her a glossy advertisement for The Apex. "Their budget is limitless. How do we compete with that kind of marketing?" "We don't, Mr. Thorne," B replied, her voice calm and resolute. "We compete with what they can't buy. Authenticity, warmth, and a genuine connection with our customers. We focus on our story, on our heart." B proposed a series of community-focused events, cooking classes for local residents, charity dinners benefiting local schools, and collaborations with local artists to display their work in the restaurant. She wanted to embed the Gilded Spoon deeper into the fabric of the neighborhood, to make it more than just a restaurant, but a community hub. Julian, initially hesitant about the financial implications, eventually agreed, trusting B's vision. "All right, B," he said, a determined glint in his eye. "Let's show them what heart truly means." The first cooking class, taught by B herself, was a resounding success. Local residents, eager to learn her secrets, filled the kitchen, laughing and cooking alongside her. B, in her element, shared not just recipes, but stories, anecdotes, and her philosophy of cooking with love. The event generated immense goodwill and positive buzz, proving that Bee's approach resonated deeply with people. One afternoon, as Bee was meticulously planning a menu for an upcoming charity gala, a major event for the city's art community, a crisis struck. Chef Dubois, while demonstrating a complex knife technique, suffered a severe cut to his hand, requiring immediate medical attention. He would be out of commission for at least a month, possibly longer. Panic rippled through the kitchen. Chef Dubois was a pillar of their operation, especially for the intricate classical dishes. Julian Thorne rushed into the kitchen, his face pale. "Bee, what are we going to do? The gala is in 2 weeks. Chef Dubois is indispensable." Bee, though concerned for Chef Dubois, remained calm. Her mind immediately began to assess the situation, to formulate a plan. She looked at her team, Sophia, Marco, and the other line cooks, all looking anxious. "We'll manage, Mr. Thorne," Bee said, her voice firm, radiating confidence. "We'll pull together. Sophia, you're stepping up to lead the hotline. Marco, you'll assist me directly with prep and expediting. Everyone else, we're going to work twice as hard, twice as smart. We've got this." Sophia, though nervous, nodded, a determined look on her face. Marco, ever loyal, immediately began to organize the prep station. Bee's leadership was a steadying force, inspiring confidence in her team. The next 2 weeks were a whirlwind of intense preparation. Bee worked tirelessly, often sleeping only a few hours a night. She personally trained Sophia, teaching her the nuances of Chef Dubois' classical dishes, while also empowering her to infuse her own style. She delegated tasks efficiently, motivated her team with unwavering positivity, and ensured that every detail, from ingredient sourcing to plating, was meticulously handled. Chloe, seeing Bee's immense stress, stepped up in her own way. She took on more responsibilities at home, cooked simple meals for them, and even helped Bee organize her notes and recipes. "You're amazing, Aunt Bee," Chloe said one night, bringing Bee a cup of tea as she reviewed gala menus. "You can do anything." The night of the charity gala arrived. The Gilded Spoon was transformed into an elegant showcase, filled with prominent figures from the city's art and social scene. The pressure was immense. This was their chance to truly shine, to prove that even without Chef Dubois, their kitchen was capable of delivering an unforgettable experience. Bee stood at the pass, her chef's coat pristine, her eyes sharp and focused. She called out orders, her voice clear and authoritative, guiding her team through the intricate dance of a high-volume fine dining service. Sophia, though initially nervous, performed admirably, executing complex dishes with precision and grace. Marco moved with surprising speed and efficiency, anticipating Bee's every need. The kitchen, a well-oiled machine, hummed with controlled energy. Julian Thorne, observing from the dining room, watched with a profound sense of pride. He saw not just a kitchen staff, but a cohesive team, led by a woman who had once been dismissed for her appearance. He saw the genuine smiles on the faces of the guests, heard their murmurs of delight as they sampled Bee's exquisite creations. Midway through the service, a small crisis arose. A key ingredient for the main course, a rare herb for the sauce, was accidentally spilled. It was irreplaceable, and there was no time to get more. Panic threatened to erupt. "Chef!" Sophia exclaimed, her voice tight with alarm. "The sauce! It's ruined!" Bee, without missing a beat, quickly assessed the situation. She remembered a similar herb, slightly different in flavor profile, but still complementary, that she had used in her grandmother's recipes. It was a bold substitution, a risk, but it was their only option. "Sophia, grab the fresh marjoram from the pantry," Bee commanded, her voice calm and decisive. "We'll adjust the seasoning, add a touch of lemon zest. It will be different, but it will work. Trust me." Sophia, trusting Bee implicitly, moved quickly. Bee, with her intuitive understanding of flavors, expertly guided the adjustment, tasting and tweaking until the new sauce, though unexpected, was even more vibrant and complex than the original. The main course was served, and the guests, unaware of the last-minute improvisation, raved about the innovative twist and the surprising depth of flavor. Ms. Evelyn Reed, the food critic, was also present at the gala, and Bee watched nervously as she sampled the dish. Ms. Reed's expression remained thoughtful, but a subtle nod of approval, a slight smile, was all Bee needed to see. By the end of the night, The gala was a resounding success. The Gilded Spoon had not only met expectations, but had exceeded them, proving its resilience and its unwavering commitment to culinary excellence. Julian Thorne approached Bea, his eyes shining with gratitude. "Bea," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "you are truly remarkable. You handled that crisis with such grace and ingenuity. You saved us again." Bea, tired but exhilarated, simply smiled. "We saved us, Mr. Thorne. It was a team effort. We cooked from the heart, and it showed." The success of the gala cemented Bea's reputation as a culinary visionary and a formidable leader. The Gilded Spoon was now a beacon of authentic, heartfelt cuisine, a testament to the power of passion and resilience. The corporate giants like Gourmet Global, with all their flash and celebrity, couldn't replicate the genuine connection Bea had forged with her food, her team, and her community. She had not only found her place, but had also transformed the very essence of the restaurant, proving that the most profound beauty and the most delicious truth often lay unseen, waiting to be tasted. The journey had been arduous, but Bea Holloway, the full-figured cook who cooked from the heart, was now truly at the heart of it all, ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. Bea's leadership and resilience are truly inspiring. If you're captivated by her ability to overcome challenges and lead with heart, please show your support by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your engagement helps us continue to share these powerful and uplifting stories. The success of the charity gala was the final, undeniable proof of Bea Holloway's extraordinary talent and leadership. The Gilded Spoon, under her guidance, had not only survived a major crisis but had emerged stronger, more vibrant, and more beloved than ever. The city's art community, deeply impressed by the culinary experience, became staunch advocates for the restaurant, further cementing its place as a cultural and gastronomic gem. Gourmet Global, despite its vast resources and aggressive tactics, found itself unable to compete with the authentic connection Bea had forged. Mr. Sterling Vance, defeated and frustrated, eventually scaled back his operations in the neighborhood, acknowledging, albeit silently, that some things simply couldn't be bought or replicated. The Gilded Spoon had won the culinary war, not with flash, but with heart. Chef Antoine Dubois, after a few weeks of recovery, returned to the kitchen, his hand fully healed and his respect for Bea solidified. Their partnership deepened, a seamless blend of his classical precision and her soulful innovation. He often found himself deferring to her intuitive palate, recognizing that her heart often led to flavors he, with all his formal training, might never have conceived. Sophia, now a confident and skilled sous chef, thrived under Bea's mentorship, her own culinary voice beginning to emerge. Marco, ever the loyal and efficient right hand, ensured the kitchen ran like a well-oiled machine, his cheerful demeanor a constant source of positivity. Bea, now firmly established as executive chef, found a rhythm that allowed her to balance her demanding career with her personal life. She implemented new scheduling systems, empowered her team with greater autonomy, and delegated tasks more effectively, creating a sustainable and collaborative environment. This newfound efficiency allowed her to reclaim precious time with Chloe. Their movie nights resumed, filled with laughter and shared popcorn. Bea attended every one of Chloe's art school events, her heart swelling with pride as she watched her niece's talent blossom. Chloe, now 18, was preparing to leave for art school in the fall, a bittersweet prospect for Bea. They spent countless hours discussing Chloe's future, Bea offering not just financial support, but unwavering emotional encouragement. "Aunt Bea," Chloe said one evening, as they sat on the sofa, looking through Chloe's acceptance letters, "I wouldn't be here without you. You taught me that passion and hard work can overcome anything, and that it's okay to be different, as long as you're true to yourself." Bea hugged her niece tightly, tears welling in her eyes. "You taught me that too, sweet pea. You're my greatest inspiration." If you're touched by Bea's journey of balancing her passion with her family, please show your support by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your engagement helps us continue to share these powerful and heartwarming stories. The Gilded Spoon continued to evolve under Bea's leadership. It became more than just a restaurant. It was a culinary institution, a community hub, and a testament to the power of authentic, heartfelt food. Bea expanded her community outreach programs, hosting regular cooking classes for local families, partnering with food banks, and even establishing a mentorship program for aspiring young chefs from underprivileged backgrounds. She believed that food had the power to unite, to heal, and to inspire, and she used her platform to spread that message. Her reputation grew beyond the city limits. National food magazines featured her story, praising her unique culinary philosophy and her inspiring journey. Television shows invited her for guest appearances, eager to showcase her soulful cuisine. B, initially uncomfortable with the spotlight, learned to embrace it, using every opportunity to advocate for authenticity, for valuing talent over superficiality, and for the profound connection between food and emotion. One particularly prestigious honor came in the form of a nomination for the Golden Spoon Award, a national accolade recognizing excellence in the culinary arts. The nomination itself was a tremendous achievement, placing B among the most celebrated chefs in the country. Julian Thorne was ecstatic, seeing it as the ultimate validation of their shared vision. The award ceremony was held in New York City, a glittering affair attended by culinary luminaries from around the world. B, accompanied by Julian, Chloe, and a beaming Chef Dubois, felt a mix of nerves and immense pride. She wore an elegant, custom-made gown that perfectly complemented her full figure, radiating confidence and grace. She was no longer the woman who worried about how her uniform fit. She was a celebrated chef, comfortable and proud in her own skin. As the nominations for the Golden Spoon Award for Culinary Innovation were read, B's heart pounded. When her name, Beatrice Holloway, and the Gilded Spoon were announced as the winner, a wave of joyous disbelief washed over her. The room erupted in applause, and B, tears streaming down her face, walked to the stage, her head held high. Accepting the award, B looked out at the audience, her gaze finding Chloe's proud smile, Julian's beaming face, and Chef Dubois' respectful nod. She thought of her grandmother, of the countless hours spent in the kitchen, of the whispers and the rejections, of the unwavering passion that had fueled her journey. "I stand before you tonight," B began, her voice clear and resonant, as a testament to the power of an unseen ingredient, heart. A ripple of understanding went through the room. For many years I was judged by my appearance, by what people thought a chef should look like. I was told I wasn't pretty enough, not sleek enough, but I always knew my worth wasn't in my reflection, but in my hands, in my mind, and in the love I poured into every dish. She paused, a gentle smile gracing her lips. "I'm not pretty in the conventional sense, but I cook from the heart. And tonight, this award tells me that the soul can indeed be tasted, long before it's seen. This award is not just for me. It's for every person who has ever been underestimated, for every dream that seemed out of reach, and for every meal cooked with love. Thank you." The standing ovation that followed was thunderous, a powerful affirmation of her message. Ms. Evelyn Reed, present in the audience, stood and applauded with particular fervor, a look of profound admiration on her face. What an incredible moment for B. If her inspiring speech and her triumph at the Golden Spoon Awards have moved you, please show your support by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your engagement helps us continue to share these powerful and uplifting stories. Returning to the Gilded Spoon, B found herself not just a chef, but a mentor, an icon, a living embodiment of her philosophy. She continued to innovate, to inspire, and to lead with the same humility and passion that had defined her from the beginning. The Gilded Spoon flourished, becoming a culinary landmark, a place where every dish told a story, and every guest felt the warmth of a meal cooked with genuine love. Years passed. Chloe graduated from art school, a successful artist in her own right, her work often inspired by the vibrant world of food and the strength of her aunt. Julian Thorne, now a respected figure in the restaurant industry, often credited B with transforming his life and his business. Chef Dubois, a loyal and respected colleague, continued to work alongside B, their shared kitchen a testament to their enduring partnership. B, now in her 50s, still moved with grace and purpose in her kitchen. Her hair might have a few more silver strands, her smile a few more lines, but her eyes still held the same warmth, the same unwavering passion. She had built a legacy, not just of exquisite food, but of profound human connection. One quiet afternoon, B stood in her bustling kitchen, watching her team prepare for the evening service. Sophia, now a confident head chef in her own right, was expertly guiding a new generation of cooks. Marco, still the heart of the prep station, was sharing a laugh with a young apprentice. The air was filled with the familiar, comforting aromas of simmering sauces and fresh herbs. Bee closed her eyes for a moment, taking it all in. She remembered the whispers, the judgments, the feeling of being unseen. She remembered the quiet determination, the unwavering belief in her own talent, the promise she had made to herself and to Chloe. She opened her eyes, a profound sense of peace settling over her. She had faced the world's superficiality and had answered it with authenticity. She had been told she wasn't pretty, but she had cooked from the heart, and in doing so, she had created something truly beautiful, something that resonated deeply with the souls of countless people. Captain Cassidy Miller, the plus-size policewoman, had proven her worth with a steady aim, and Beatrice Holloway, the full-figured cook, had proven hers with every dish, every flavor, every story she poured into her food. Her legacy was not just in the awards or the accolades, but in the countless lives she had touched, the palates she had delighted, and the profound truth she had shared, that the most extraordinary beauty, the most enduring strength, and the most delicious truth always come from the heart, and that, she knew, was a recipe for a life well lived. What an incredibly heartwarming and inspiring conclusion to Bee's story. If her journey from being underestimated to becoming a celebrated executive chef and a beacon of authenticity has touched your heart, please show your support. Hit that like button, share this video with someone who needs a dose of inspiration, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more powerful and uplifting stories like this one. Your engagement helps us continue to create content that celebrates the human spirit. Thank you for watching.